Think of the number of topic areas that Twitter clients cover. There's just so few successful things within it because the platform was so limited. I mean, it's taken them so long to get to geo. You know, the geos. You know, they've added the stuff that now is obviously going to compete with Foursquare and Gowalla. You know, that's going to spawn a whole load of. You know, for us, it's big because it means much better news-related targeting. But you know, overall, I think it expands the abilities to build, you know, thousands of apps. Rather, you know, there's always this stated, you know, they've got 100,000 registered applications. How many actual active ones are actually out there that you can think of that daily get used? Less than 100.
Also, there is so much that has not been done yet. I mean, you're like assuming this is the end of this, while we are the ecosystem.
I have not made that assumption. I'm just wondering why anyone would invest in the ecosystem at this point, knowing that Twitter still has no clearly stated rules as to where they will compete and where they won't.
Do you think? I mean, I'm sorry, you are actually expecting them to come with rules. I think that's the wrong
I don't expect
statement.
them to. I just wonder if they don't, why people will continue to put resources
because
into
the opportunity is very large, and think about
but it's worth the risk.
E-commerce, for instance, has not even happened in that space.
If I understand the opportunity, my question is very simple.
But no, you're saying we're dead and there's a huge tsunami.
No, I haven't said that. I like that image.
But the image is. Oh yeah, I don't know what this image means.
So
man.
let's
small
just step back.
There's a huge tsunami, and that's not about killing us. Oh, all right. You choose your pictures in a very interesting. You want to make headlines, I understand.
I suppose if you were strong enough, the tidal wave could sort of roll over you, and you could come up, and you know what doesn't kill you make you stronger. But the direct question here is, I've asked this again. I'll ask this over and over again.
Thank you, by the way, for that. I mean, my investors and my employees. I had employees emailing me asking if they still had a job thanks to your picture, and I mean, you're an investor. And
so it wasn't what happened that affected Seismic.
Officially for that, right?
It wasn't what happened that hurt Seismic. It was the reporting of what happened that hurt Seismic.
Oh, that did hurt in a big way.
So Twitter changing the rules and competing with you directly, that's one thing. But what really hurt was this image of a tidal wave. That was what really brought you down.
Well, you know, I think what you're doing by doing this, first is, and don't tell me you have no idea of the influence of a post like that, because I just
do you remember thanking me for the post?
Do
you remember thanking me for the post? Just tell me, and answer that question yes or no.
I have had to email. I had to email my employees saying that it was
you thank me for the post?
Really nice.
Did you say it was great because Bloomberg and others were focusing on you as sort of the poster child of who'd been most hurt by the whole Twitter thing?
Mike, we had private conversations, pretty animated about that
private conversations,
which are taking now public. So if you want, I can also do the TechCrunch Mike Harrington case study, but I don't think it's
There's a difference between private conversations that shouldn't become public and private conversations that you then publicly sort of say the opposite of. So I just want to make
sorry you're here, Nick. I apologize. Sorry.
But going back to the original question, will people continue to put resources into development on this new functionality in the API, knowing that Twitter?
Well, you're saying it's
here's a question. So when Facebook built their platform, the evilness of their terms and conditions, of their statedness of we will take over those bits of functionality, were much more harsh than Twitter ever stated.
But in reality, they've done very little of that, right?
But because they already had the whole field.
They already had the whole field.
Yeah, you know,
so the basic apps, photos,
photo, video. Yeah, so so what I'm saying is, yes, Fred has stated, those holes do need to be filled. I understand why they're trying to remove confusion from early adopters because we're all dead. If Twitter doesn't,
isn't geo a hole?
No, but that's enabling. What
isn't it a hole that they'll want to own?
What do you think they're going to build on Twitter.com that's going to stop Seismic making something more useful out of geo? I think the key thing here is that from now on, the size of opportunity is so much larger.
The size of opportunity is larger, but you mentioned that a few months ago when you first heard about these changes, about the @anywhere function, that really troubled you, right? I mean, it does pressure your company just like it does with Seismic, and it has this, threat, this lingering threat that something could happen, a new announcement could come next, right?
Yeah, there's we were the creators of a button that has obviously driven a massive amount of traffic to Twitter.
Yeah, a massive amount.
Yeah, an immense amount.
I mean, I think we have 10 or 15 posts on TechCrunch at any one time on the homepage, and every single one of those shows a tweet me button. So, I mean, it's it provides excellent functionality.
We serve 450 million of those buttons every single day. So that's a lot.
And is that something that is just a hole?
I don't think so. Yeah, and it's not.
But Bitly was just a hole.
Certainly,
driving a lot of traffic to Twitter.
We have.
Yeah.
I would be very happy to compete on functionality. We've spent.
Is that because you've now become a Zynga, and that you're so entrenched that it would be very hard for Twitter to compete with you directly?
We're on 140,000 sites.
And that's like your code is on their site, so you're kind of there.
Yeah, and how from a site developer, how hard it is to change these things. Once they're ingrained, it's in the design, the brand is there, people know how to use it. So anyway, it's going to, I like what they're doing, and we'd love to integrate further with what they're doing.
There seems to be two storylines here. On the one hand, you're both saying that there's going to be so many more users with all these different opportunities, right? And that's going to create new apps and all this and that. But then on the other hand, you're trying to become less reliant on the service that you're saying is growing, becoming so big.
Nick is as well, I'm sure.
So doesn't that create a conundrum in terms of trying to grow your apps and trying to gain a user base when you're trying to, on the one hand, bank on this growth, but also step away from Twitter?
No, because we want to have more users, and we will get new Google Buzz users and new Facebook users. Again, our desktop is a platform. We'll be at F8 next week, and we will be trying to get Facebook developers code plugins for Facebook.
So are you saying...
No, we're going into all the growth.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that I think for both of us, Twitter has been the main growth factor and will continue to be, I believe, our #1 partner in terms of growth.
Yeah.
And I will continue to support Twitter, and there is trust restored by the answers they've been providing to us and also some meetings I've had. And I don't think the ecosystem is going to die like Mike is picturing.
But no, I haven't said the ecosystem is going to die. I've said that developers have been betrayed. And that's based on the developers telling me we've been betrayed.
But let's move on from that.
That's fine, but don't take that into the ecosystem is going to die.
It was your picture. Yeah. And so I think
the title of the picture really got to you.
And so I think
we're going to wrap up here now.
All right.
So last thoughts.
Yeah, what are your last thoughts?
This is about you guys.
All I care about is Twitter grows, because if Twitter had damaged the ecosystem, which I don't think they have, then and in fact, if they hadn't made those moves to gain more mainstream users, then it doesn't matter about the ecosystem, because the platform would have shrunk. And if the platform starts shrinking, we'll all move off Twitter anyway, irrelevant. So it's the user base. We rely on them having a user base that's large enough to have an ecosystem that is sustainable. Without that, sustainable user base, there's nothing.
My thoughts would be that if you take one step back and you look at more entrepreneurship, this is just daily life. I mean, Sysmic started as a video service. I'm ready to adapt Sysmic daily, and that's what I'm doing. And I don't think the threat which you are describing is large enough to make me worry about the opportunity, as long as we adapt and we keep adapting. And I think what developers should do, for example, is remove anything tweet in their name. Sorry, Nick. Just thought about that. But because they have to be neutral, and being called tweet something is not very safe, I think. So being agile, adapting, and creating more independence from Twitter to get growth from other services, which doesn't mean we'll be one of the main partners of Twitter, is a problem. Also, the 50% share announced with the revenue, with the apps, is a major opportunity. So yes, there is a threat. Yes, there are moving parts, which I understand, because if I would run Twitter, I might actually have done that. I wouldn't have communicated it this way, for sure. That's the major screw up, and they recognize it. I can get over this.